First of all, thank you for having me on the program, Shiv. It's great to be here. And it is something that I must say that the Indian Air Force has been waiting for a fairly long time now. And this is one of the state-of-the aircraft in the world. It is one of the best in the world. And, I can only say that I'm feeling really left out. I wish I was still in the Air Force. I was a little younger and I was wearing the uniform and flying this airplane. It is going to be a great feeling for everyone in the Indian Air Force because it's going to be a big booster shot for our capability and rightly called a game changer by everyone. So it's something that we've all been looking forward to and the entire nation as well. That's why the defense minister is there personally to receive it.
Can you give us a perspective, Group Captain Athreya, on, your perspective on the kinds of capabilities these aircraft will bring? So much has been written, so much has been said. You've flown many different kinds of aircraft in service as well. Give us a pilot's perspective on what, young pilots and those flying these jets will be looking forward to with the Rafale.
Okay. So, when you, as a pilot, fly the aeroplane, you have a mission objective. The mission objective is generally either to destroy target using bombs or air-to-surface missiles, or to defend the airspace against the enemy radar, or to escort your own force and prevent it from getting shot down from the enemy radars. Imagine that all of these things can be done by this aircraft singly. It can carry up to 8 tons of payload, and it carries a mix of long-range air-to-ground weapons. It carries long-range, beyond visual range air-to-air missiles and short-range fire-and-forget missiles as well. And today, an aeroplane of this class, even in fact the Mirage, the MiG-29 and the Sukhoi, the aeroplanes are very easy to fly. What is complicated is managing the systems on board. And that is what has been integrated beautifully onto this aeroplane. So you have not only the radar, which is one of the world's best in service today, but you also have a fantastic system which is known as the Spectra. This is a self-defense system which will pick up enemy radar's emissions, identify it, and thereafter use the right jamming technique and prevent him from getting a lock on your aircraft. In spite of that, if the aircraft is able to take a lock on your aircraft, then it will start using something called countermeasure dispensing system, deploy shaft, deploy flare, deploy the towed decoy, which the Indian Air Force is specifically asked for. And also it has systems which tell you if there is a missile which has been launched or a laser which is painting you. And all of this is integrated beautifully, and it happens automatically without much pilot intervention. And all the information which is coming from the AWACS, from ground sources, your radar, there is just so much of information on the battlefield today. Everything is fused together to give you a beautiful picture, an air situation picture. And how this helps today's combat pilot is he's able to understand the air situation very easily. He's able to come to a decision very quickly and thereafter efficiently execute that decision. So it's called the OODA loop, the observe, orient, decide and act. This OODA loop has been shortened to a great extent by the sensor fusion which has been done on the segment.
That's a very, very valuable perspective you're giving us. It's not so much about flying. The flying part has become easier. It's now about managing the systems. That's the real challenge, because these are hugely sophisticated aircraft that allow the pilot to focus on the fight rather than the flight. The aircraft will fly itself. These are hugely smart, intelligent aircraft that take away the burden of actual flying and allow the pilot to focus on the actual combat management, the mission itself. And that is what makes these aircraft such game changers in the Indian Air Force. Remember, not for a moment is anyone suggesting that the Indian Air Force doesn't have anything great and the Rafale are the first great jets to come in. Patently untrue. The Sukhoi 30 fighters are also very, very capable jets. You see them flying with the Rafales there. in those beautiful pictures that have just been put out by the defense minister. But the Rafales do bring certain evolutionary capabilities and technologies that don't exist even on the Su-30. And that's one of the reasons why it's a big step ahead. And it's also understandable, remember, because the Su-30s are already about 2 decades old in Indian service. I mean, many of the airframes are new, of course, but the aircraft itself, the type itself, has spent nearly 2 decades in Indian service already. Bringing Wing Commander Rohit Beri back in as well. He's with us. We have both of these officers with us, and we also have Abhishek Bhalla from the Ambala Airbase. Wing Commander Beri, once these aircraft land, can you give us a sense, give us a perspective as a fighter pilot of what kind of work will the pilots be involved in? Because the priority target will be to operationalize these jets as quickly as possible.
So for almost a year preceding to this, the training has been going on in France, and the pilots which are flying in were the pilots who were getting trained there. So the first objective, not all the pilots are going to get trained there. There's another batch there right now in France, and they will also get their training done, and thereafter they'll come here. And by the time these aircraft start getting delivered, we need to integrate these aircraft into the overall battlefield philosophy, philosophy of the Indian Air Force. And we need to start training not only alone, but also as you displayed the pictures, and that is just not a picture which will be done now and then forgotten about later, but also to operate with the other aircraft in that environment. And
yes,
that is what also Badhrish was covering, and that this is more about a collaborative combat management. It is not one aircraft ability itself, although Rafale is, of course, a very beautiful piece of machine. But it is not only one particular aircraft which we look at, but we look at the whole environment, how this particular aircraft will now fit into the environment and how we can fight together. So it's a kind of a collaborative combat management enabled by network warfare center, network-centric warfare. And that is what we need to look into going forward. This is what the pilots will train. They will impart this training to other and also train with the pilots of other aircraft, so that we can have a concerted approach towards managing any threats.
Okay. Group Captain Athreya, the same question to you then. Once on the ground, take us through the motions for pilots, the things that they have to do. They've been trained already. The Indian Air Force, in fact, put out a statement saying, the pilots are operationally ready on the aircraft as well as the advanced weapon systems. So what is the kind of work that must be done once on the ground?
See, all of these pilots are already qualified operational pilots on previous types of aircraft. So they would, in fact, one or two of them I know personally. They were in the Jaguar squadron in Ambala. And so they would already be well aware of the environment. The operational area falls within the Western Air Command area of operations, where we are talking about right now. So I think the focus would be to identify targets with whatever imagery, intelligence, etc. that we would have already collated. And once these pilots have quickly debriefed about whatever training they have undertaken, and this happened right now.
Yes.
The primary task would be to plan missions and be ready, to be combat ready as soon as possible with these 5 aircraft and the crew who are already trained on the aeroplane. And we would probably do a weapon to target matching. And I believe, I'm given to understand from public information that
yes,
the weapons are already in position.
That's right.
So if the weapons are in position, the Indian Strike Planning Cell will go ahead and make the relevant plans to utilize them at the earliest should the situation demand. But please remember, Balakot was a very different thing. We were targeting terrorist camps. Here, what we are facing is the People's Liberation Army. So
yes,
this is the Chinese army. So if you start using aeroplanes, I mean, we are in the process of separating out and reducing the tension on the border. If you get the aeroplanes into the game, then it ratchets up the tension level exponentially.
Yeah.
So that is a call that the government will take based on the situation. But as I see it, the government will want the Indian Air Force, and of course the Indian Air Force also will want, this is the sharp end of the sword that we have got. So it would want the sharp end of the sword to be ready at as quickly a notice as possible to utilize it should push come to shove. That's how I would see it.
Okay, very, very interesting perspective that you're providing, Group Captain Athreya, on the readiness, the combat potential, as well as, whether there will be it'll have to be a political decision whether to actually wield such equipment. After all, let's not kid ourselves. At the end of the day, these are war-waging assets, and the true power of such assets is in them never actually having to be used, because deterrent effect is what is the true power of such weapons. Nobody wants to see such weapons actually being used, because we don't want it to ever actually come to that in terms of hostilities between two countries. But I can tell you for a fact that as far as war-waging assets go, the Rafale is a formidable force that adds a great deal of punch to the Indian Air Force, which is already very well equipped but needs more numbers desperately. We will not cut corners in calling out the real issues here on India Today. Wing Commander Berry and Group Captain Athreya, continue to be with me, because the aircraft will be touching down in a very short while from now, so we're likely to get some momentous pictures. Abhishek Bhalla is our defense editor. He's with me live from the beautiful city of Ambala, the historic old airbase of Ambala. Abhishek, take us through what you've been hearing, because this is a historic airbase that goes back many, many decades, and it has gotten a new look for the Rafales. Lots of equipment, lots of training equipment, the weaponry depots, the blast pens, everything has had a huge makeover to welcome the new Rafales, obviously because this is important infrastructure to support these new aircraft. Abhishek.
Hello everyone, this is Rahul Kamal here. Hope you enjoyed this video. For the latest news and analysis, like and subscribe the India Today YouTube channel, and don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated.